Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews, and I'm here to do a review of the Telugu film Maharshi starring Mahesh Babu. If you're new to Pardesi Reviews, I do trailer reactions and film reviews of Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, and Hindi films. This has been an eagerly awaited film. It's Mahesh Babu's 25th film, and I'm sure he took a lot of care in selecting a script, and this is very much a message movie, so he may have wanted to use his stardom to bring attention to a couple of different causes that come up in the plot of this movie. I'm going to try to make this as spoiler-free as I can of a review. Maybe at the very end I'll say a few spoiler things, but I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as I can. Okay, so we saw from the different teasers and trailers that Mahesh gives a speech at a podium, which kind of teases us to his big speech on Bharat Ani Nenu, but he's wearing a very casual shirt. And it's similar to the one that we saw in the first teaser where he's a college student. So you can kind of guess he's a college student. He gives a speech about success. And that's really a theme of the movie, of what you sacrifice to become successful. And when you are successful, what is your responsibility? What do you do with that success? What impact can you have? What difference can you make in the world? Sort of like the Spider-Man line that's so famous that Uncle Ben gives to Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. That could be sort of a sub-theme of the entire film. Allari Naresh plays Mahesh's college roommate. We got a little bit of that, like he's blowing the smoke and trying to bless their dorm room. And then Pooja Hegde is another part of this college setting where they meet. So there's an extensive flashback set in these college days. Ramesh Rao plays a professor who's very important in Mahesh's life. And I did like that Mahesh's character had quite an arc, and we saw bits of it in the trailer, how kind of arrogant and full of ego he is in the college days, and then how he transforms over the course of the movie. And then, of course, we saw in some of the teasers and the trailers, he becomes an extremely successful businessman. Now, there was a whole song, I don't remember the title of that song, but basically it was a montage of super cool outfits that Mahesh Babu is wearing. Amazing suits, amazing sport coats, all sorts of looks. And a lot of that is set in New York, so you have the backdrop of lots of skyscrapers and Times Square and, you know, in Manhattan and all of that. So I'm not sure I've ever seen Mahesh do a film that had a setting in America, and so it was just kind of cool seeing him. Yeah, we saw in the teaser, you know, like striding out of many, many helicopters and private planes and Rolls Royces and whatever. I enjoyed that whole song montage, and it was like a fashion show, and I was all about that. Prakash Raj does play his father. Father-son relationships and what you owe to your father is definitely a major theme throughout the movie. The romance with Pooja Hegde is not as much of the plot of the movie as some, you know, other Mahesh Babu movies. The romance is much more central, and I wouldn't say that it's really central to this movie, which was one of my disappointments, because, you know, I like romantic films. I like to see Mahesh Babu do romance. There was some, though, and there was an absolutely one of my favorite scenes of the movie comes when he meets some members of her family, and it's just a riot. The entire scene was amazing, and Mahesh was very funny in it. I really liked his relationship more with his friend Ravi, played by Allari Naresh, and Allari Naresh is new to me. I've heard that he's quite famous on Indian television. I haven't seen any of his work there. I was kind of looking through his filmography. It looks like he's done a lot of cameos in several other films. Maybe I have seen him, but he wasn't memorable to me. Here he is somewhat comedic relief, but then his part to play in the plot becomes much more emotional. And I thought he did a fantastic job in his part. And I like the relationship that he had with Mahesh. Vanilla Kishore has a cameo, smaller role as a friend of Mahesh in the first half of the film, and I enjoyed seeing him on screen, as I always do. I would say I really enjoyed the first half of seeing Mahesh Babu in this college setting. It was very fun. I thought he was good and commanding in his role as this big business tycoon kind of person. And then the film, you've seen posters, you've seen him in sort of the rustic farmer garb. And the film is concentrating on village rights. And so it has elements that remind me of Sri Venkateswara. And then it also has the plight of farmers. And we've seen several films, both in Tamil and Telugu, kind of dealing with some of these issues. I'm sure for people in India, some of those scenes really tugged the heartstrings. I didn't have that emotional connection so much in the second half of the film. And the film is long. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. So it's almost 3 hours. It really could have been edited down. 2 words for you, hashtag agricultural weekend. Like, when you see the film, you'll know what I mean. Like, there were just a lot of scenes that could have been cut, and I think could have made the last third or so have more of an emotional impact. I don't know. There was lots of fun cameos of all different kinds of Telugu actors that I've enjoyed from so many films. I'm blanking on the name. When you see the film, there's a guy character actor that I've seen in so many films, and he plays a reporter. He was very funny, just like kind of a running gag with him being a reporter. Pooja Hegde was fine. Her part was just didn't have a ton to do. And she was okay. She was fine. I didn't really feel that there was tons of chemistry between Mahesh and Pooja. And that's not necessarily her fault. It's just sometimes things look good on paper, but not necessarily have that sizzle and chemistry that you just some actors have on screen. His pairings with several other actresses in the past just have had more chemistry to them. So nothing faulting Pooja, I don't know. It just wasn't there for me. And then just the second half felt long. The message of the movie is very worthy. I admire what they're trying to do with the film and the messages that they're trying to give, especially about here's someone who had moved away, and what responsibility do you have to things at home, and what responsibility do you have when you're wealthy, and what does success really mean? What are you going to do with that success? So I liked all of that message, and I don't know why. Maybe it was just partially the length, but I'm also contrasting this film with Jersey, which I saw just 2 weeks ago. And if you saw my review of that, obviously it hit me hard because of what happens in the second half of the film, and because of the death of my father. The funeral of my father was the day before I saw Jersey. But I just do think that Jersey just had a better script and pulled more at my heart. Even if all of things in my personal life hadn't happened around that film, I just think that film had more. Now, there is one scene that I think Mahesh did extremely well in. I don't want to spoil it, but it's when he's reading a letter. He gets really choked up in this scene and emotional, and it's a turning point for his character, and I thought he did a really good job in that part. Jagapati Babu, I always love as a villain. He's a worthy opponent for Mahesh Babu. Fun to see the two of them playing off each other in the second half of the film. I think Mahesh Babu is a great dancer. Pooja's pretty good. Their dance numbers were one of them was just so modern and wild. The songs that really resonated with me, there was sort of a montage song called Choti Choti Batain. And it was sort of like all their memories of school. And I thought that was a really fun song. And I just liked all the montage things that they were showing us with that. Not so much, there was a few little dance things in there, but it was mostly just a montage showing their college life together. I like that song very much. But the one that is really fun to listen to and has an impact on screen is Padara Padara. That song I've just loved listening to over and over again, just the drums. I can't remember the name of the song, but there was a very fun song when they're sort of having a college party and it's a retro party, and I think Mahesh is dressed up as Junior NTR's grandfather, and he looked so fun in the costume, and he looked like he was having a ball on screen, and he had the big glasses and the whole thing. It was very fun. I think it's an above average film, but the second half let me down a little bit just because I didn't personally have an emotional connection. Maybe you, if you're living in India, it really resonated with you. When I got out of Bharat Ani Nenu, I was ready to see that movie all over again. And that one had a good mix of comedy and emotional scenes and whatever. And I don't know why this film just didn't quite work for me in the same way, but it did have some great elements, some great scenes, and a fine performance by Mahesh Babu and Allari Naresh especially. I would like to point out he really impressed me, and I hope to see more of him in other films. If you have not seen the movie, please don't go past this part, but do let me know what you thought about the film when you see it in the comments below. Okay, this is a spoiler section, so stop here. I asked some other people as we watched out of the film what they thought. Most of them thought it was good. They said maybe one-time watch, agreed that maybe it wasn't as good as Bharat Ani Nenu, but it definitely was better than Spider, which was a movie I have a fondness for too. But they didn't find the second half unbelievable, that he would just take this leave and set up his office in this village and whatever. I think to them it did resonate that, the farmer issue and the farmer suicide is such an issue that needs to have more attention to it. And so I think they appreciated that. And I just said, as an outsider, I don't know, it just didn't tug my heartstrings in the same way. But I think them living here in the States maybe had that pull of one, thinking about their native place and how you can give back, because that's part of Mahesh stories too, right? That he came to America, became such a success, but then had that pull to go back to India and change things now that he had the power to do so. So I liked that part of the message, and I also liked, it made me think of Bill Gates, who, and maybe that was part of what it was modeled on, is I've always respected Bill Gates and everything he created in Microsoft, but then he reached a certain point and he walked away. He didn't, just keep control of it forever. And he's used all his billions to really make an impact with his philanthropy. And Mahesh, at the end, is going on, as he said, success is a journey. He's not done. He's moving on to the next phase and doing something else. And I think he found such much more satisfaction out of giving back and making a difference. So I think that would always be a part of his life. And I also love that he gained respect of Pooja's character, not just, by giving her flowers or romancing her, but by his actions. When she saw that he had truly changed and he was a better man, then she gained respect for him again and was willing to give him a second chance. And I like that. It wasn't that he was, harassing her, stalking her, things that we would see in other romantic films. That through his actions of how he was with their friend Ravi and what he was doing for the farmers and all of that, that she just said, you know, gave him a hug, and he could tell, okay, I'm getting my second chance now. So I did like that was how he proved himself to her. Could have been a little bit more of the romance for me, to be honest, but okay. I'm really curious to hear what, I mean it, I'm really curious to hear what you thought about this film. When you see it, please do comment and let me know your thoughts about it. Do you agree with me? Did you have an emotional connection in that second half? Or did the movie disappoint you? Or were you completely satisfied and think Mahesh Babu, this is his best yet ever? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Follow me on Twitter at PardesiYT. Subscribe here to Pardesi Reviews. And if you hit the bell when you subscribe, then you'll get a notification whenever I have a new trailer reaction or film review.